So being someone that waited until marriage to have like sex, real sex, can't say that I've been perfect, but doing a pretty exceptional job. Like, I will say, considering the challenges, we did really well waiting. Oh no! I dropped coffee on my jeans.
Yes, I was told all the stereotypical things like chewing gum. You take this fresh, clean piece, a stick of gum, you put it in your mouth, you chew it up. Once you've already chewed it, nobody else is gonna want it. Upon further contemplation on this walk that I'm taking right now, I would like to tell this stick of gum, and I know this is horrible of me, once I chew you, I'm not gonna want you again too.
I have to like sit differently so I'm not in this sun. So it's not really the new month yet, but like, just in comparison to the past few weeks, like, I can tell September is going to be good. So I'm looking forward to September. I found a place for my horse, which is great. I went yesterday to work with him, and he was just the sweetest boy. He's so good. Like, he's so easy to train. I really feel like God wants me to have this horse. I don't know why, but like, every time there's an issue, like, it just gets resolved really easily, and I'm able to use him to bless a lot of people who are usually not able to ride, because there's a huge paywall generally for horse riding, and I just let people come ride for free. Or, I mean, I think I'm going to start doing lessons, but they'll be super cheap, like maybe $20, maybe less, honestly. 'Cause I like having a little extra cash for coffee and stuff, but I don't want people to feel like they can't come and ride because of like money. Like, I'm honestly happy doing like more for less, honestly. Anyway, I feel better as well physically. I mean, I'm still like obviously a little like scratchy in my throat, but it's also like the morning, so that might just be me. I'm definitely not a morning person. I had someone come up to me in Aldi on Monday, and she was like, I need money. Can you please buy me hot dogs and hamburgers? I'm having a cookout with my homeless friends. And I was like, ma'am, I'm sorry, my bank account would bottom out if I did that. Like, that's like $30. Usually, like, I don't know. Usually homeless people are like asking for like $5 or something. She wanted a lot of money. And I do love the idea of giving, and I do love the idea of giving to people, just spontaneous. But I hate it when people come up and ask me for money. Like, I just feel like, but yeah, that woman that came up to me, I told her, like, I'm so sorry, like, I don't have any cash. And I think she was expecting me to kind of like check her out with my stuff, like to grab hot dogs and hamburgers and check her out with my stuff or something. But after I told her that, she was like, oh, okay. Like, I think she was a little put off. And then I just saw her fill up her entire cart with stuff, and her purse was honestly nicer than mine. Like, she didn't have a purse when she talked to me the first time. Maybe I'm the crazy one, but that's just a little weird. My thoughts on purity culture. I don't know if I could say that I for sure grew up in purity culture. I was 21 when I got married. I was 20 when I got engaged. Women will not know what masturbation is. They will not understand how men function sexually and how different it is to women.
Purity culture was really center stage in specifically youth ministries in the United States, and really informed the way that many youth ministries later taught their students about God's plan for their lives when it comes to sex and sexuality. Those of us who were teens in the 90s had parents who were teens in the 60s.
Young adults are taught to extinguish their sexual desires and not express sexuality unless they are married with that one person. Going from being completely non-sexual with someone to married and sexual overnight, they say, is very bad for your relationships, and you will not be compatible with that person. So for me, education and sex are very important. I think it is very sinful to separate those two. For me personally, like, I knew about sex from like, maybe, I think I was in 4th grade. I think 4th grade is kind of late to know what sex is. And the funny thing is, I think I may have just been a little dumb back then, but my friends literally were talking about sex quite often in 4th grade because it was like this new thing that our little girlfriend group, just like maybe one of their moms told their daughter who was in our friend group. So they would talk about it and I would talk about it with them. But like, I literally like still didn't understand like what sex actually was, like intercourse. I kind of like understood that men and women like to like, I don't know, be all intimate and naked together. I understood that, but I did not actually understand how babies were like made until 4th grade. Despite my friends talking about how penises went in this, I still like didn't understand until I read this kid's book. It was like at my grandparents' cabin, and it was like, Welcome to the World, or it was called something like that, and it was just about the wonder of how God makes babies. I don't know, I'm pretty sure it was a Christian book for kids, but it talked about sex. Isn't that ironic? Like, anyway, I'm gonna touch back on that, but it was using a lot of terms that I understood, but the reader would not understand. So like, there's a page where it says, a man has something called a sperm, and a woman has something called an egg. The man has to get his sperm to the woman's egg in order for the baby to be made. Bars. I like understood what sperm and egg were and where they were located. And so from reading that, I was like, oh, so that goes in there like literally, like not figuratively, like that literally goes in there. And then I was just like, okay, I don't want to look at anybody over the age of 20 for a year. It was kind of funny because I felt like kind of betrayed that my parents did this, because I had a baby sister at the time too. But I remember asking my mom, I was like, what is an egg? Like, how are babies made? Like, I almost like I knew. Then very briefly after that, my mom, maybe a few months, my mom had this CD and she played it in the car, and it was a Christian guy basically going very detailed, like what is sex? What are all the things that teenagers go through, like drugs, sex, abuse, advocating for yourself, friends, bullying. It was a really good little CD. Like I'm a fan. I listened to that disc and I thought it was helpful. It was just the best way, I think, to give someone a very educational approach without like making them feel like you are having to talk through it and they're like, ugh. Like, it's almost like better spoon-fed from a doctor than handed to you by like a parent or an aunt or an uncle. I preferred it. I think most people would, because it doesn't feel like your parents are telling you what they do. So anyway, if I figure out who that guy was that made that CD, I will definitely put it in here somewhere. So being someone that waited until marriage to have like sex, I can't say that I've been perfect, but doing a pretty exceptional job. Like, I will say, considering the challenges, we did really well waiting. Y'all can't judge me. I don't know. I'm kind of anti-purity culture because I feel like there's just a lack of education. I think people need to be very educated on sex, regardless of whether they are going to have it in the near future. I think kids from a young age should kind of understand from their parents, like, that there is something that happens that creates babies that is not just a stork. I mean, men can get turned on just by looking at a girl sitting in a tank top. I'm probably the sexiest thing some people have seen today. Women, I think, are harmed most by purity culture, because I think women need to know how their bodies function before they get married to a very intimate degree. And they need to know, like, about vaginitis and all of these medical things that they could potentially have. They need to understand, like, you know, their cycle, and you're only fertile 1 week of the month. Women are allowed to be sexy. You're allowed to want to have sex. You're allowed to want it more than your husband. You're allowed these things, but you might be taught differently. And of course, biologically, men are going to want to have sex more on the average, but you are allowed to be sexy and want to have sex. And I think women should honestly be encouraged to be sexual, like, beings. Like, not that they should act on those feelings, but that they should just be allowed to have those feelings and be allowed to, like, understand, like, oh, if I'm feeling horny, like, that's not a bad thing. Actually, that's a good thing. And I'm allowed to feel that way because that's the way that God made me. Some of you may wonder why God would make us to be so horny if we have to wait until getting married, and most people get married at the age of like 34 in America. I think it is just a way that we can learn discipline. I definitely struggled a lot with sexual temptation, and it has taught me to kind of say no to a lot of other things in my life. Honestly, I just think we need to learn more about sex and educate ourselves and drop this idea that sex is something negative and we need to like hide from it. Like, no. God created sex. We're here to enjoy it, and you just literally have to enjoy it with one person. Like, you're naturally going to want to do that, because if you've ever had sex with anyone, like, you don't want to leave that person ever. Like, your body's like, all right, we're locked in. We are locked in. It is not healthy and normal to have dissociative sex where you have sex with a bunch of people and have no emotional regardings to them whatsoever. That is unhealthy. That is the opposite of purity culture. I think that's all. That's all for today, guys. I really hope that you would like and subscribe to my channel, and please let me know if you have more questions in the comments. I'm very, very good about responding. If you dislike everything about this video, go ahead and put a comment for me, please. And I would love to hear your thoughts. If you've watched this far, y'all, that's a lot. That means a lot to me. You watched this far. Like, I wish I can give you a hug right now, but I'll just give you like a screen hug. I hope you guys have a good, awesome day and a great rest of your week. Bye.